in our case, we have joint accounts, but we still have our separate accounts. But the fact that we have our separate accounts, which takes me to my own interpretation of separately, does not mean that I can now just do anything with the money in my own account.
No,
Yeah,
go ahead.
So that's why I was trying to explain that, the separate finance cannot work in the sense that you're making all the decision about the money, whether the money in both in the joint account or the separate account, because again, like we have separate accounts for various reasons, but it's not because of trust or issues of trust or anything, right? So yes, if in a marriage, depending on both parties, like you can have joint accounts and then still have your separate accounts, but the fact that it is separate accounts in Abiola Adeife's name alone doesn't mean that my husband will not know what is going on, with the finance, that he can just do anyhow, because again, we are doing life together.
So if you are newly in marriage, right, you have to be patient to build and learn each other and understand each other and see what works best for you guys.
That's true.
And also, I would advise you can also have a joint account where you just throw in money that you can use to run, finances and stuff like that. And I don't believe, and I'm sorry, I do not believe in 50-50. I don't believe in that. I believe in 100. And I also believe in this. If I have $4,000 to pay for mortgage, I'll pay the mortgage. If my wife has $4,000 and she wants to, babe, you paid $4,000, you don't have anything left. Oh yeah, take this $2,000 or $3,000 or take this $4,000 and do whatever you wish. That's fine. If she doesn't want to, that's fine. I just believe that it is my duty to ensure that there's roof over the head. And that's why I can say it without no apology. Almost 13 years, right? That woman doesn't know what mortgage is. That woman doesn't know what insurance is. But I'm not saying that you should go back home and start comparing that with your spouse. If you are a woman and you are earning more than your spouse, if that man is a good man and that man is a man God has given to you, support the man 100%. And for that man, don't also stay at that level and say, I have a woman that's working so hard. Work so hard to the point where you can say, you know what, babe, relax. I follow a guy, one Pastor James. I love him a lot. Pastor James said something. He said, when they got married, and the wife was the one taking care of bills for a long time. He said he went to minister somewhere, and they just gave him $10,000. He drove to the wife's office and called her and said, hey, babe, what's up? Take everything, buy whatever you want to buy. Because guess what? That woman has been supporting this man for years. And that's why I'm telling people this. When you're transparent, when you're humble, when you're doing the right thing, right, you won't have to struggle about finances. If I ask Michelle, give me all that you have in your account, she won't even say no. There are people that when your spouse say, give me all, you'll be like, why? For what? Let me tell you, the woman I have here, I can say, give me all, because I have proven myself to be accountable. I've proven myself to be trustworthy when it comes to finances. And I'm saying this to everybody. You have to learn who your spouse is. Baby, say, give me 10K. I'll give you after this comment. After the comment, I'm going to give you. So I'm saying this right now, right? You have to prove yourself to the point where your spouse can trust you.
That's the thing. The trust is important. Like, the trust is important, really. Like, it is so important. And to be honest, like, when we talk about marriage and money, is even God also watching us? Like, sometimes I'm like, is it that people forget that God sees everything? Like, sees, because if God, like you said, God cannot trust you with the little, you're not being accountable even to the person, your husband or your wife.
Then how can he trust you with more?
Then how can he trust you with more, with nations, with wealth for nations, for, and that's what is killing some Christians.
Be transparent, be open. You can have joint accounts, you can have separate accounts, but there should be accountability in whatever you're doing.
Exactly.
Find out what works for you and your spouse. Sit down, pray. God, what do we do in our finances? Because I have the question is managing finances in marriage to avoid conflicts. Allocate your spending. You put your sit down and have budgets. See, let me say, sit down and have budgets. Like, okay, how do we do this? Okay, every month. Every month, what do you cover? You can cover this. Like, sit down, have those. There are people who they've not had a plan on how to spend their money, and that's why every month they'll be like, you pay this, you pay that. No, you're 2-3 years in marriage and you're still doing, you pay this, you pay that. No, that's a failed partnership. Don't wait until 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years and you start talking about you pay this. Have you paid for?
Yeah.
Have you paid that car note? Have you paid, like,
We
come on?
for us, like when it comes to like the expenses, the bills and all, we already know like the consistent, like the
Yeah,
repeated one.
yeah.
And so we know like from that joint account, that's where it should
Allocate,
always just come from. So that there is no exactly, so that there is no
allocate
did you
something.
pay, did you I don't even like we don't like it. Like
It's stress.
it's always very it's
It's
disgusting.
it's very stressful. It can give you headache. Yeah.